My name is Vanessa. I'm 29 years old, I live in Charlotte, and I'm a copywriter for a fashion brand. I enjoy hiking, baking cookies, and being left alone, especially by people who love drama. I also have a sister. Her name is Jenna. And this story, it starts with a trip I should never have said yes to. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a comment if you've ever dealt with a sibling like mine, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss what happens next. Trust me, it's about to get wild. Now let's go back to the day my mom called and said, "We're going to Cocoa Beach. A girls' trip, just us three. You, me, and Jenna. It'll be good for your relationship." I wanted to hang up, but I didn't. She sounded so hopeful. I hadn't spoken to Jenna in 6 months, and maybe, just maybe, this could help fix things. So I said yes. I packed light, told work I'd be offline, and promised myself I'd stay calm no matter what. That promise lasted less than 1 hour after we landed in Florida. The hotel was already a mess. Jenna had used her credit card points to upgrade her room to ocean view, leaving me with a tiny room facing the dumpsters. She claimed it was an accident, and Mom just smiled like it wasn't a big deal. "It's just a room," Mom said. "Don't make a scene." I didn't. Instead, I dropped my bags and went for a long walk on the beach. Alone. The next day, it got worse. Jenna forgot to include me in the spa reservation. Then at dinner, she accidentally ordered the same drink I told the waiter I was allergic to. Each move small enough to look like a mistake, but I knew her game. And Mom. Every time I tried to speak up, she told me to just be mature and stop picking fights. By the 4th day, I barely spoke. I smiled through fake laughs, dodged my sister's jabs, and counted the hours until I could go home. Then came the dinner that broke me. We went to a fancy rooftop restaurant. I wore my new dress, hoping just one night would go okay. As we walked in, Jenna whispered, "You look like you're trying too hard." Mom laughed. I took a deep breath and kept walking. The hostess led us to a gorgeous table, perfect view, candlelight, everything. Jenna sat down first, then Mom, and I was left standing. "There's only 2 seats," I said quietly. "Oh," Jenna said with a grin. "I thought it was just Mom and me on the reservation. My bad." "You can sit at the bar," Mom said, sipping her wine. "It's not a big deal. Stop ruining the trip with your sister. Leave." I stood still for a moment. Something inside me cracked. "Fine," I said. I turned around, walked out the door, down the hotel stairs, and into the parking lot. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just got into a taxi and told the driver to take me anywhere with Wi-Fi and peace. 1 hour later, I was in a small rental house on the edge of a quiet neighborhood called Alder Creek Hollow. I booked it with my own money and checked in without a word. The air smelled like ocean wind and fresh paint. But before I could relax, I remembered something. Jenna had left her phone charging in the hotel bathroom. And before I walked out, I took it. I didn't mean to. I just grabbed my charger, my bag, and somehow, her phone ended up in there. At the rental house, I plugged it in out of habit and saw the screen light up. Message from Chris Blackheart. Then another one. "Still thinking about you. Same hotel tonight?" Followed by a photo. And my stomach dropped. Because Chris wasn't just anyone. Chris was Jenna's boss. And he was married. I opened the gallery. More pictures. More messages. Plane tickets paid with the company card. Receipts for spa days that Jenna had billed as work expenses. Then I saw an email draft to a coworker. Not sent. Just waiting. Titled, "Let's Take Vanessa Down." Inside were screen captures of my work account. She'd somehow gotten access to one of my clients' mood boards. And she was planning to send them from an anonymous email to my boss. Claiming I stole ideas. Claiming I lied about the metrics. I stared at that phone for a long time. Then I smiled. She wanted me gone. I could play that game. I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to make sure the next time my sister looked for me, I'd be 10 steps ahead and she'd be standing in the ruins of the mess she made. And I knew exactly where to start. With Chris's wife. The next morning, I woke up early at the rental house in Alder Creek Hollow with the Florida sun pouring through the curtains. It should have felt peaceful. But as I stared at the ceiling, heart pounding, all I could think about was Chris's wife and Jenna's stupid smirk the night she kicked me out of dinner. I slid the phone open again. Jenna's messages with Chris were still sitting there. Raunchy, reckless, and just dumb. But what caught my attention was a saved contact labeled CS Personal. It had no last name, but it had a birthday listed. Same as Chris. Same number. No doubt it was him. And in the photo folder? A mirror selfie of Jenna wearing one of those silk robes from the hotel spa, with a wedding band tossed on the bed behind her. That was it. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to call Mom. I wasn't even going to send the messages to Chris's wife directly, at least, not yet. I was going to do something better. Jenna had a pattern: lie, charm, deflect, and survive. But this time, I wanted the entire structure to collapse around her. I started by copying the entire contents of the phone to a cloud folder, locked, secure, and shared only with an anonymous account I created. Just in case she came looking for her phone and tried to spin the "you stole it" angle. I spent the next hour researching everything I could about Chris. Found his LinkedIn, his wife's Facebook, even their wedding video on YouTube. That's when I learned something I didn't expect. His wife, Rachel, ran a small candle business. Her site had a contact form. And reviews. Including one left by Jenna 2 months ago. 5 stars. Gushing praise. Even a photo of Jenna holding up a lavender soy candle in front of her apartment window. Bingo. The connection was clear. I now had proof that Jenna knew exactly who Rachel was and still carried on with Chris anyway. But I wasn't ready to strike just yet. Not without laying the trap first. That afternoon, I drove to a nearby cafe, ordered an iced mocha, and sent a message from the burner account I'd created. "You don't know me. But I have information about your husband. No threats. No blackmail. Just facts. If you're ready, reply." Then I waited. 3 hours. Nothing. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the palm trees, I went for a walk to clear my head. The breeze felt too warm. The neighborhood too quiet. And yet my thoughts screamed like sirens. Back at the rental, I opened Jenna's phone again out of curiosity more than anything. That's when I found something else. An email. Unsent. Sitting in her drafts. To hour@everkingconsulting.com. Subject: concerning employee ethics, anonymous tip. Body: I believe one of your team leads, Vanessa Monroe, has been plagiarizing strategies from a competing brand. Please investigate. She had planned to sabotage my job. She hadn't just wanted me gone from the trip, she wanted me fired. Humiliated. I stared at the screen, my hands suddenly shaking. It wasn't just pettiness anymore. This was war. And I wasn't going to lose. That night, before bed, I got a single response from the burner email. From Rachel. "I'm listening." I smiled. The first domino had just tipped. I stared at Rachel's 2-word reply for nearly a full minute. "I'm listening." That's all it took. The air around me suddenly felt heavier. I reread her message 5 times before I pulled myself off the bed and opened my laptop. This had to be perfect. Not rude. Not emotional. Just truth. Cold, clear truth. I started typing. "Hi, Rachel. I'm sorry to be the one bringing this to you. I know it's strange hearing from someone anonymously, but I promise I have no bad intentions. What I'm about to share is difficult, but I have evidence that your husband, Chris, has been having an affair with my sister, Jenna. I found out during a trip that went very wrong. I wouldn't have contacted you, but Jenna has a history of hurting people and walking away clean. I figured you deserve to decide what to do with the truth." Then I attached the photos. The messages. The receipts. I ended with, "I won't reach out again. Take care of yourself." I didn't sign my name. I hit send. And then I shut the laptop and just sat there. 4 hours. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I checked the inbox. No reply. But someone else did message me, Jenna's coworker. Her name was Lexi, and apparently, she had been tipped off anonymously that I had something important to say. "Are you the one who took Jenna's phone?" her message read. I paused. Carefully, I replied, "Why?" Lexi replied within seconds, "Because I think she's trying to take you down, and I've got a feeling you're finally stopping her." Turns out, Lexi wasn't just a co-worker. She had been working with Jenna for over a year, and they used to be close. Best friends close. Until Jenna got her promoted, then blackmailed her into writing fake reports for expense reimbursements. Lexi had been waiting for an opportunity to come clean without losing her job. Now, she wanted to help. She sent me internal emails between Jenna and their finance officer, where Jenna had submitted fake invoices, one of them signed under Lexi's name. Another, approved with Chris's initials. It was all getting clearer now. This wasn't just an affair. This was fraud. Corporate fraud. I printed everything and organized it into folders. Work fraud. HR sabotage. Affair evidence. Blackmail attempts. I wasn't sure how all of it would be used yet, but one thing was obvious: Jenna's downfall was bigger than I'd planned. Then it happened. Late that night, just before midnight, my hotel phone rang. I picked up, thinking it was housekeeping or maybe reception checking in. Instead, I heard Jenna's voice. Furious. Broken. "What the hell did you do?" My heart jumped. "You left me no choice," I said calmly. "You told her," she spat. "You told Rachel. She deserved to know." There was a pause. Then she said, "You think you're clever? You think this makes you better than me?" "No," I replied. "I think it makes me free." She cursed me out. Called me everything under the sun. Promised I would regret it. I listened. And then I said, "You ruined your own life, Jenna. I just stopped cleaning up your mess." I hung up. 10 minutes later, I got another message, this time from a number I didn't know. Attached was a photo of my apartment building, taken from across the street. And the caption read, "Let's see what you've really got to lose." I froze. She wasn't playing games anymore. And I had no idea how far she was willing to go. I didn't sleep at all. That message, the one with the photo of my apartment, kept flashing in my mind like a warning siren. My hands shook when I locked the doors to the rental house. Twice. I checked the windows. I left a lamp on in every room. Just in case. Was it Jenna? It had to be. She didn't know where I was staying, but she knew where I lived. And if she'd taken that photo recently, that meant she was back in Charlotte or someone was doing her dirty work for her. I forwarded the photo to David, a lawyer friend I'd done some freelance projects for in the past. He wasn't criminal defense, but he knew people. "Get out of the rental," he said after seeing the picture. "Don't go home. And don't be alone." I packed my things within 30 minutes and checked out, claiming a family emergency. I drove to a small motor in 2 towns away and paid cash for the room. No ID. No questions asked. I kept Jenna's phone close but turned off the data, just in case she tried GPS tracking. The motel was dimly lit and smelled like old carpet and lemon cleaner. But it had Wi-Fi. And locks. That was enough. I spent the next day working through everything again: Rachel, Lexi, the HR sabotage, the fraud. Jenna might have wanted me jobless, but now she'd made it personal. She made me scared. And fear turns into something else real fast. That afternoon, Rachel emailed again. She cried for 2 hours. Then swore it was over months ago. But I saw the receipts. I saw your files. I knew before I opened them, really. Then another line: "Thank you for telling me the truth." I sat back, exhaling slowly. It wasn't peace, but it was something. Then came the moment I didn't expect. Lexi messaged me with a screenshot of Jenna's group chat with 2 other colleagues. And in the center of the conversation, a photo of my work ID. They were discussing writing a fake letter from my employer. One that claimed I was on probation for conduct unbecoming. The plan was to leak it anonymously to clients through a burner email account. It wasn't just petty anymore. This was defamation. And it was organized. I could have cried. I could have screamed. But I didn't. Instead, I sent an email to Everkin Consulting's legal team with all the proof, messages, photos, internal chats, timestamps. I explained what was happening, calmly and professionally. Then I CC'd HR. And 2 hours later, I got a reply. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Please rest assured, this matter is being taken very seriously. I dropped the phone on the bed and covered my face with a pillow. That was the low. But then I saw a news article shared by a local blog out of Tampa. Married executive linked to alleged workplace affair, internal investigation ongoing at Everkin Consulting. There was no photo. No names. Just whispers. But I recognized the story. And I wasn't the only one. The next morning, my inbox exploded. One from an anonymous burner account with the subject line, "You did this." Another from a coworker, "Did you see the story? People are talking." And then, a knock on the motel door. One slow tap. Then another. I froze. I didn't tell anyone where I was. My hand slid toward my phone. Then a voice, "Vanessa. It's Rachel." My breath caught. I opened the door just enough to peek through. She stood there holding a plastic bag, sunglasses in her hair, eyes red from crying. "I just need to talk," she said. And I let her in. But what she told me next? That Jenna had more than just dirt on Chris. That Jenna had stolen from Rachel too. And Rachel had proof. Real proof. Bank logs. Invoices. Even security footage. "What do you want to do with it?" she asked. I looked her in the eye and said, "I want to end this." But I didn't mean destroy Jenna. I meant expose her. Everything. And the best part? I had just been invited to the quarterly partners retreat Jenna was crashing under Chris's name. All I had to do was show up. With receipts. The air at the partners retreat in Sapphire Gulf Resort was stiff with cashmere confidence and polished teeth. It was the kind of place where everyone pretended to relax while secretly competing over who wore the most expensive watch. I didn't belong, but I walked in like I did. I wore a navy jumpsuit, clean ponytail, no jewelry. I wasn't here to impress. I was here to finish what Jenna started. Rachel stayed nearby, sitting in a cabana with her phone in one hand and divorce papers in the other. She wasn't just helping me anymore. She was on her own mission now. The invitation had come through Chris's assistant, who Jenna had obviously sweet-talked into booking her under the +1 guest list. I slipped onto the grounds with a printed name tag that read Van Monroe, brand strategist. Close enough. The first person to greet me was Lexi. She handed me a drink and whispered, "She's already here. She doesn't know you're coming." Perfect. Inside the event hall, Everkin's executives took turns boasting about projected growth and new product lines. Jenna stood by the glass wall overlooking the ocean, sipping something orange and sparkling, pretending to care about the conversation. Chris wasn't with her. I knew why. Security footage Rachel sent me showed Jenna stealing a checkbook from his home office drawer 3 weeks ago. She'd written herself a check for $5,000 and signed his name. Not smart. While speeches droned on, I slid a folder into the hands of Everkin's legal VP, Maximum. He was a sharp guy. Didn't smile much. But his eyes locked on the title, Internal Risk Report, submitted by anonymous insider. Inside were bank logs, the fake invoices, expense fraud evidence, and Jenna's sabotage emails all time-stamped and verified. He flipped through it with growing concern. Then he looked up at me. "You're someone who knows what she's done," I said quietly. "And someone she tried to destroy." He didn't ask anything else. By the time the gala dinner began, a quiet storm was already brewing behind those velvet curtains. Jenna laughed, flirted, and clinked glasses, unaware that her spotlight had turned into a microscope. Then came the moment I'd planned. The host stepped up to introduce special recognition for our newest leadership nominees. Jenna smiled like she was about to be crowned queen. But instead of her name, the host read another announcement. Due to an internal compliance audit, one attendee will be leaving the resort early. We kindly ask Ms. Jenna Monroe to report to the front desk. Silence. Everyone turned. Jenna blinked, then laughed awkwardly. Is this a joke? The host didn't smile. I believe you know what this is about, And just like that, her face dropped. Security escorted her out. Not like a dramatic TV show drag, but that quiet, slow kind of exit that burns into everyone's memory. People whispered. Chris didn't come outside. But Rachel did. She walked right past Jenna with her chin high and eyes full of fire. You always said you wanted the spotlight, Rachel said softly. Well, now you've got it. Jenna stared at her, stunned, like she hadn't believed this day would actually come. That night, I got back to my hotel and opened the burner inbox one last time. A single email sat waiting from Everkin's legal department. Thank you. We'll take it from here. It was done. Almost. Because the next morning, I received a legal notice. Someone had reported me to the police. For theft. Theft of private property. Jenna had filed a claim. Over her phone. The very same one that held all her secrets. And now, there was a chance I could be charged. Unless I played one last card. The recording. The one Lexi had just sent me. Where Jenna admitted, on voice memo, I hope she took my phone. I want her to. She'll dig in and end up buried too. It wasn't just evidence. It was confession. And it had a time stamp. 24 hours before she filed the report. Which meant she hadn't lost her phone. She'd planted it. She wanted to set me up. And now that I had her on tape, the setup was complete. But not the way she planned. I didn't want to go to jail for touching my sister's phone. Especially not after everything she'd done. So I did what she wasn't expecting, went straight to the police station. I walked in with my head high and a folder in my hand. Inside were printed screenshots of the texts, proof the phone was voluntarily left behind, and Lexi's voice memo. I handed it all to the detective assigned to my case, a sharp woman named Officer Gaines with a look that said she'd seen this kind of drama way too many times. She reported you for theft, she said, flipping through the evidence. But this changes things. She played the voice memo again. Jenna's voice, smug and sure. I hope she took my phone. I want her to. She'll dig in and end up buried too. Timestamp, 12 hours before the phone was even missing. Officer Gaines looked up at me. This sounds like entrapment. Because it is. And your sister, she said slowly, has quite the paper trail. More like a bonfire. They didn't arrest me. No charges were filed. Instead, Jenna's report was flagged for review and possible abuse of legal process. I walked out of that station shaking, but not with fear this time. Relief. I wasn't just surviving this war, I was winning. But victory tastes strange when you've fought your own blood to earn it. That night, I returned home to Charlotte for the first time in weeks. I checked the building entrance. No strange cars. No lights out of place. My neighbor across the hall, Mr. Lyle, waved as I passed. Hey there, thought you moved out, he said. Just took a detour, I answered. Inside my apartment, I sat on the couch for a long time. Then I did something I hadn't done since the trip started. I slept. Hard. The next morning, the final blow landed. I got a letter, not an email, not a text. A real letter, sealed and formal. It was from Everkin Consulting. They were filing a formal ethics complaint against Jenna for fraud, workplace sabotage, and misuse of company resources. And they'd suspended Chris without pay pending investigation. The letter said a third-party audit would begin immediately. I almost laughed. But then came something I hadn't expected at all. Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. Vanessa. I just want you to know. I had no idea. About any of it. I thought you were the problem. I thought you were jealous. Jenna always told us stories. She paused, then sniffled. I should have listened better. I'm so sorry. She didn't ask for forgiveness. Just said she was sorry. That was new. But it didn't fix everything. And just when I thought the whole thing was over, I got another call. Not from Mom. Not from Everkin. From a number marked private. When I answered, a deep voice said one word. Careful. Then the line went dead. And just like that, I knew. Jenna wasn't done. She wasn't just clawing for damage control. She had something else planned. And this time, it wasn't about work or phones. It was personal. And she was going to hit me where I least expected. The voice on the other end of the line had been low, cold. Just one word, careful. It echoed in my head for hours. I locked my doors, shut my laptop, and turned off my phone. And for the first time since this war with Jenna had begun, I wondered, what was she really capable of? My mind ran through every possibility: physical harm, blackmail, hacking. But I didn't sit in fear. I started checking every digital account I owned: banking, emails, cloud drives. I updated passwords, set up two-factor authentication, and contacted Lexi to see if Jenna had mentioned anything else. Lexi messaged back fast. She's spiraling. I think she's trying to drag you down because she's already sinking. That night, I got one more message from a guy named Rob. I didn't recognize the number, but the message stopped me cold. Hey. Not sure if you remember me, we met last year at Rachel's birthday dinner. I think we need to talk. It's about your sister. I stared at the screen. Rachel had never mentioned a Rob. But I responded cautiously. He messaged back, she reached out to me last week. Said you were slandering her and ruining her life. I've known Jenna too long not to fact check. He sent a screenshot. Jenna had claimed I hacked her accounts, stole her work files, and faked the voice recording from Lexi. She told Rob she was filing an injunction against me for harassment. But then, Rob sent something else. An old video. Jenna, sitting on a couch, talking casually to someone behind the camera. It's not stealing if they're too dumb to keep their stuff locked, she said, laughing. She was talking about me. My portfolio. My work notes. My idea boards. This one project. Totally hers. But if I email it to the client first, who'll believe her? I couldn't believe it. Rob had been recording her a year ago, trying to prove to his roommate that she was a manipulator. And now, he was handing me the silver bullet. I sent the file to David immediately. He nearly dropped the phone. This is admissible. This proves history, pattern, motive, and intent. But we weren't going to court. We were going public. 2 days later, a story broke on a major business lifestyle site. Corporate star or master manipulator? Former colleagues speak out on Jenna Monroe's trail of lies. The story was anonymous. The names were changed. But it had the video. Blurred. Cropped. Cleaned. And the moment Jenna's laugh echoed across the internet, everything she'd built began to fall apart. 2 brands dropped her from their ambassador programs. Her consulting firm deleted her profile. And within 24 hours, she issued a temporary digital detox statement on social media. But the world didn't forget. I still hadn't. And the last thing she expected was what came next. Mom called again. Only this time, her voice wasn't soft. She's gone, Mom said. What do you mean? She packed up. Took everything. Left a note. Said not to call. That she'll be back when the world forgets her name. I sat with that for a long time. Revenge stories don't always end with handcuffs and courtrooms. Sometimes, they end with someone losing everything they once used to hurt others. Jenna lost her reputation. Her job. Her protection. Her masks. And me. I gained something I hadn't had in a very long time. Peace. I used to think keeping quiet made me kind. That silence was noble. Now I know the truth. Standing up for yourself even when it's messy is how you teach others to stop standing on you. Because some people won't stop crossing the line until they realize you draw your boundary in stone. And you're not afraid to let it crack the earth beneath them.